All right, welcome everyone to the Horror Homeroom, where three English teachers take a rubric and grade your favorite horror movies so that you get a better understanding of what's going on in this genre. Josh, can you kind of give us an understanding of what's going on here?
So I will tell you what I tell my students, which is, look, I do try to pick books that I hope they like. Sometimes we're mandated to read stuff that I know they won't like, but regardless if they like reading a book or a story, at the end of the day, it's an academic exercise, and that's what we're doing. We're not just watching movies for fun. We're going to have a rubric in front of us. We're going to be looking at narrative structure. We're going to be looking at, the genre and all of its tropes. And we're going to try to create an academic exercise in what horror movies can offer us. We're going to passionately debate probably some things because we're from different generations, and we're going to walk away, I think, with a deeper understanding of our favorite horror films and a better look at what these directors are trying to do and not just watch them for fun at a surface level.
Awesome. And today, the horror movie we're going to kick it off with is a movie called The Descent. Shane, can you kind of give us a rundown?
I have some information, and I wanted to add, by the way, that I'm planning on not having fun watching a lot of these horror movies.
Right. Beautiful.
It's not for fun.
I know, and I'm planning on having the opposite of fun.
Oh, yeah.
This movie came out in the UK. It is a UK production by Lionsgate Studios in July of 2005. It didn't come out in America until August of 2006. It did have a Sundance Film Festival release also in 2006. Reviews are really good for this movie. 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is very high, especially for a horror movie. That was with 189 reviews, has a 7.4 out of 10 average. It was a 71 on Metacritic, which, just to put that in perspective, Sinners came out this year and Weapons came out this year, 2025 if you're watching this in the future. And those had an 84 and an 81, so those were critically acclaimed, and this is not too far down from those. This is there was a poll from a Time Out publication with various authors and critics and actors and directors, and this was actually 39 out of 100 for 21st century films. So it is very acclaimed. Had a budget of $3.5 million to $4.45 million, somewhere in that neighborhood. It made $8.8 million on its opening weekend, so it more than made its money back. Ended up making $26 million in the United States and $57 million worldwide, which was enough for a sequel. You want to know who directed this thing?
Who?
A guy named Neil Marshall, who I have never heard of, even though I consider myself to be a cinephile. He directed 2019's Hellboy and some other things. I guess the movie that got him this sort of larger work, The Descent, was a movie called Dog Soldiers, which I have not seen.
And The Reckoning, too, right? And then another film he did?
I don't know. The only other one I have written down is Tales of Halloween, which sounds dorky. It's an anthology film.
Well, Hellboy was pretty commercial.
Yeah, and that was after this. That was
Okay.
14 years after this. So.
Okay.
Now, I looked into this a little bit just because I was trying to jog my brain of like horror movies because I feel like a distinct part of this film is that the setting of it takes place deep down in a cave, right? And I was like, was that unique to this film? Was that something that has been done before? And that's kind of one of those important elements that we're going to be discussing here today. So I kind of want to just kind of encourage you guys. We are going to link below the rubric that we're going to be talking about. And each time we talk about a certain section of this rubric, we're going to kind of pop it up on the screen. So we're going to kind of go through our scores. But within our scores, we're going to kind of talk about each important element, like Josh had said earlier, how we're scoring it. We're trying to be as objective as possible when giving this score. But, just like in everything English language arts related, there's an element of subjectivity related to it, right? So I kind of want to just pass the buck over to Josh, and I'm curious, walk us through atmosphere. How did that look for you?
I definitely don't think it was an A. And I do want to qualify everything I'm about to say with, I have to err on the side of caution and give a lot of credit for authors, writers, filmmakers, because they're doing something I can't do, right? I'm not going to sit here and put on an air of, well, they could have done this better. I mean, I do think they have an intention, and it's my point to see what their intention is, and if they did their job. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not saying I could have done any of this better, but I am saying, look, if they wanted to create an atmosphere, we'll just start with this category, did they successfully complete the task of creating an atmosphere? I think there was one critical element in creating an atmosphere that I think they dropped the ball, and that is with audio and music. I don't think there was a notable score. Did it have some effects, and did it have probably a soundtrack? I'll be honest with you, I don't remember it. And I wonder if I were to isolate the soundtrack to it, would it have been edgy? Would it have been anything that is something new to the ear? I would say no. So I think that's one of the big things that keeps it out of the 8 category, was just of the atmosphere category, is just the idea that how do we create mood? It's going to be through our senses, and one of the most easy things to attack our senses is going to be the things we hear. And there's a lot of moments in the movie where it's pitch black. I think one thing they did really well, I think one smart thing our director capitalized on was, it's in a deep cave, so there was different lighting. They had to find creative ways to light the scene, which brought different colors and different textures in, from the cave walls to a flickering lighter. I think that is something that kept it from being a C, was some really creative ways to create a mood visually.
Shane,
atmosphere was my top category for this movie.
It was for me too.
It was the highest. In fact, I would be like a B plus. Would you say around a B?
Yeah, I put it as so. Our categories would show 18 to 20 as a top. Amon, Sterling Amon is calling me.
I would
He's another teacher in this teacher conversation.
I would say I would almost be willing to give this like a 20 out of 20 for atmosphere, except for the sound, which you mentioned, and the score, which I did notice. Not only did I notice it, but it actually annoyed me. I have in my notes here that there's a lot of synthesized strings, and it was always just a little bit too much, So when we've got the main character, Sarah, we didn't really introduce the plot of the movie, did we?
Not much, but
they've seen it, because we're going to spoil the thing.
Yeah.
Sarah and 5 of her gal pals embark on a spelunking adventure and bite off a little more they can chew,
right.
I guess is what we can
Which
we can say.
early in...
Well, chewing is no pun intended.
Yeah.
Of the chewing scenery.
Yeah.
I will just say the first scene we get is them whitewater rafting, and so you get a sense that they're thrill seekers. There's an introduction to a trauma suffered by our protagonist with the death of her daughter. Now, I'm going to get into, I think it would be narrative elements, I think is kind of where I hit this and had a lot of questions, which can help and hurt, a story. Sometimes you don't want to reveal everything and keep some ambiguity, but I think sometimes questions are just plot holes, right?
Let's save the narrative stuff. We got more atmosphere to
We
talk
do.
about.
I'm just saying my point is, in summarizing this, is you get an introduction to this death of her daughter within, is it 10 minutes? I think within 10 minutes, the daughter's killed. And I was wondering, will we see this again, and how much will it pay off? And throughout the whole movie, you have these girls going down, thrill-seeking. They understand that they're going to be stuck, so some of them react to this in different ways by going at each other, by questioning, by acting out of impulse, not keeping their wits about them. And then I'm just going to say we got to save the ending, the theatrical ending and the alternate ending.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me clinches this whole movie.
I remember, Shane, you had said this movie would have been so much better if it was 6 guys instead of 6 girls.
I did not say that. I want that to be on the record that I did not say that.
No, I'm joking. But atmosphere for me, it was also my highest category, and I actually I didn't knock it down due to the lack of music or anything like that. I just there was moments with the lighting that I felt like while we're in a cave and obviously we're in the depths of the cave, there's no like the lights that are coming through, right? I just felt there were moments where lighting was used so effectively and where I felt that lighting could have been maybe altered or used a little bit more clearly. I'm thinking specifically like these neon colors that kept coming through, right? And I thought there were moments, specifically in that one scene where she was emerging from like the blood, right, or that pool of blood or whatever she was in, right? And that to me
that's revealed in the second movie. What that is, by the way.
Oh really? Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, well yikes. But
you don't want to know.
But it's
I'm probably has something to do with my 14-year-old's room, so like that.
She when she emerges and it has that just like ambiance of just red and it's like you can see the sleek color on, like that was so great. But then there's like these strange greens that I just couldn't get into. I
like that a lot. I like the visual aesthetics of. I've got flares and these like rave glow sticks, which must be a spelunking thing, some kind of tool. But I thought when it made like all the walls, the surrounding walls, this red or this green, it just kind of gave it a different look. So it gave it a little bit of visual variety instead of just being all these gray.
Did it feel unrealistic though? Like in terms of like how much light it would be producing in this cave, or do you think because it was so dark?
I don't think so, because I think in a confined space like that, I'm not a scientist. Science goes right over my head. But I think in a confined space like this, that light is just from a flare or something is just going to kind of spread all over the surrounding area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that brought. So I actually wrote down all the colors. There's the headlamps, right, which is going to be white light. The flares are the red, just complete redness. And again, for a horror film, I think this is the kind of thing that sets a tone and a mood.
It gave it a very hellish quality.
Exactly. I think that amped up tensions. Glow sticks, green. So as the pacing moves down and they're just trying to look over the gorge, for example, like let's use a green coloring. The lighter and the flickering of that light. The torch that she ends up making, again, I think hellish. I think, wow, what a great way to pick up a pacing. What a great way to change, tonality. And then my favorite part was the camcorder. The use of the POV on the camcorder was
infrared. Is that?
Yeah, that's how they tried
switched into that. Like,
yes.
Yeah, I like
what
that.
A great way to again shake things up. Change pacing. I think that's another great way, especially with found footage. I think that was a great way to switch to that without having to do the whole movie that way. And with the introduction of it, the first time, I thought, oh man, I hope they do this again. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing what the character sees. I think the lighting and all the colors and the variations, I think that bumped it back up to what I would have as a B+.
Yeah. And plus, you neglected to mention one of the main colors, which is black.
Right.
Or is black not a color?
It absorbs all the
colors.
Is
white a color? Or is black?
White reflects everything.
Again, science. I'm
right.
not good with this science.
And how dare you for calling me out on what I forgot to do?
But I'm just saying you didn't mention black, but there's a lot of black in there, which gives it that claustrophobic kind of feel. And
so really quickly to recap this category, Josh, what'd you give this out of 20 for atmosphere?
17.
17, and Shane, what'd you give this?
17. What I gave it.
I bumped it up to an 18. I thought that was my highest category for this.
I didn't even mention the shots. I just like a lot of the shots. I think my favorite one is there's a shot of a trio of these. Are they called crawlers? Is that the term that they're?
Oh, I don't know.
They're not called anything in the movie, but
yeah.
I think online I saw that they were called crawlers, which I don't like. These low-budget Voldemort kind of things.
That's what they should be called. Or these.
What's Precious? What's his name?
Golem.
Golems.
Or rabid Nosferatus, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever they are, but there's one shot where they're kind of looking in the distance, and you have three of them just kind of sitting on this rock or whatever. I don't know what's lighting it from the background, but it's just a beautiful shot of these grotesque things. There's another one, even the first shot of the cave before they enter it. There's kind of a high angled shot looking down in this just black hole, and it's kind of foreshadowing because you're looking in this blackness thinking, well, I don't know what's going to happen in this, but it's not going to be good.
Well, I'm glad you brought up shots because, again, you get these thrill seekers. They're put into, which we have not talked about why it has to be in Appalachia. Are these supposed to be like inbred
The crawlers?
crawler? Like
I just thought they were normal Appalachian people.
that's what I saw Kentuckians. Yeah,
Or they're at least J.D. Vance's relatives.
Right. Yeah.
At the very least, they're Trump
we're getting
supporters. They're Trump supporters.
I
I know they're Trump
They
supporters.
are. I just feel like the grandeur of the wonderment and awe that is created within those first few minutes in nature. Again, it sets the tone, and he does that so well as they descend into the cave and they get their first look at it. We get our first look at it, and there are shots going up. There are these panning shots, and it is definitely such a stark contrast to the, like you said, the claustrophobic, the tight spaces, the huge close-ups that he does, which that again changes pacing, it changes all that. But I think the camera angles are done very purposefully.
Well, when they're outside, the camera is always moving around.
That's right.
It is always swirling, and it's above them, kind of
Yes.
like the beginning of The Shining, where you just kind of feel
See
like
their
a presence
car.
is watching over
Yes.
them. And
I feel like the color, even before they get into the cave, I thought that was done really well because it's like
There's
it's
a blue
It's like
filter.
it's like
There's a
kind of like that
filter over it,
that
yeah.
film that kind of is over it, kind of creates an immediate tone of like something is going to happen here. You know what I'm saying? I did really like that. But transitioning into narrative elements, man, I got one major thing. I'm really curious what you guys think about this. I had to knock this one down for one thing. I'm going to go to our rubric here, and it says characters have clear motivations, distinct traits, and growth or change. And I just have one character that I can say yes to for that, and I think that's our protagonist. I think Sarah fits that mold in my opinion, but I think everyone else was so rushed. I felt like the characters were not developed before we get into that cave. I felt like you got like I felt what's her name, Juno, right?
Juno.
She was like
was
half
it Juno? I thought it was just June.
I was thinking it was
Juno was our antagonist.
Well, not except for the crawlers.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think there was that infighting, right? There was, she left purposely the map in the car.
It's her poor decision making that led them into
Where they are.
Right,
But again, I just feel like she was working against the group, maybe unintentionally, but I saw the crawlers in their natural habitat and just doing what they do.
Yeah, you're probably right. Because June or Juno, whatever the hell her name is just kind of. I mean, she's the secondary character we find out the most about.
And she changes
An
because she
athlete.
kills, walks away. She's got blood on her hands.
Does she change?
I was
Does
gonna say, I
the
don't think
killing
that-
show a change? Because I would argue it doesn't.
I don't. I guess I would be willing to talk about that. I just know that she went into that cave for one reason, and by the end, she was. I would just say a different kind of. I think she grew into her antagonistic thing.
I think she stayed the same because it's later revealed that she's a betrayer, right? I mean, and she's consistently stayed true to that betrayal. And like it's almost like the guilt she had toward the end there with Sarah, and Sarah's kind of up in arms, and she had to change and adapt to become a different person by the time that she left. So I thought
I like your word betrayal. That she betrayed them by keeping the map in there. She that is a
betrayed
really good word. Yeah.
by cheating on, Sarah's husband, right? I mean that's later revealed.
His name's Paul. We have one male character. We might as well say his name.
That bothered you.
No, that didn't bother me. I'm fine with the. I'm fine with the all-female cast, except for the crawlers.
Kind of feels
I guess
like
they're males.
you just have to keep saying that. I don't know why.
I just want to say that his name was Paul.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't think it's crazy. I wrote it down. Would this movie be different with an all-male cast?
See, but
See, he wrote it.
Yeah,
down.
maybe I should start going after that guy. But I thought setting was amazing, right? I thought the conflict pretty solid. The characters in terms of like development. Sarah's character was awesome. I liked Sarah. That was a great protagonist, I thought. And I think like she changed throughout the course of it.
How do you think she changes?
I think she was kind of like traumatized, submissive in the beginning after her traumatic event that she went through, right? And she kind of refused and couldn't adapt and change until she got down in the situation in this cave where she was forced to change and become a different version of her. That scene we talked about with her coming out of that like gross goo stuff, and she like didn't she kill like a little baby version of the crawler, and then the mom showed up. I thought that was the turning point for her character, where she was like, no, I have to adapt and overcome in order to, I got to face that stuff head on and stop avoiding it. I thought that was her change in development. And by the time that she left, she's still, I mean, in the American ending, we had the lingering trauma of her not even being able to escape Juno, but she has the skills and qualities developed from this experience to be able to inform that.
I mean, her facing Juno was her facing her fears, or facing her trauma, facing her problems. I mean, that because the melee, the fighting for survival, that scene where she just puts her thumbs in this thing's eyes, so well done. I mean, that was all inhibitions had been lost. All of her, outside worries and traumas had washed away in this moment. I think even her problem solving to create the torch, like you said, her rising out of that pool of blood, you can just see it was very apocalyptic now, that coming out of that scene slowly, right? Like there was that new character rising out of it.
Do you disagree?
I just thought throughout she's reacting kind of impulsively and emotionally rather than logically, and I don't see that really ever changing. Even when she sticks that, whatever that tool is, that climbing implement, whatever hook thing on a handle, whatever
I've only
it
been
is.
spelunking.
Well, you know how she got out? By chance. She literally fell out of the cave, right? Fell and saw the light.
Yeah.
And I mean, that wasn't her own doing. In the American version, the UK version is much
I'll
better.
have to admit, I forgot there were two versions. So while I watched the sequel to The Descent Part 2, not recommended, I didn't see another version. So the version I saw, she stabs Juno in the leg. She crawls out. In one of the shots that I really like, where she's crawling up, it's like an angled shot, and you just see her in this kind of light, and she's crawling toward this light, and she emerges Carrie-esque at the end. Her hand comes out of the ground, and then she ends up in a truck.
Yeah.
Which version is that?
I think that's the American
That's the
ending,
theatrical one. The UK
And
one,
that's worse. And
it's worse.
okay,
Yeah, the UK one.
almost gets hit by a truck. She pulls over, and a truck.
Right.
goes
Yeah,
by,
honks
which
at her.
Almost is like saying, this trauma's still here, because she's always going to have these reminders of what happened to
Right.
Paul and her unnamed daughter.
No, the alternate ending, the UK or the European whatever ending, was so much more comprehensive. We have this trauma suffered with the death of her daughter, and you get these glimpses of her dreaming of a birthday cake and dreaming of her daughter, right? And there's jump scares galore as she's waking up from it, or as she's coming to from these visions and memories. She stabs Juno in the leg, runs, and just kind of collapses on the edge of a precipice. She's still in the cave with no sight of daylight, and the torch is in the middle flickering on her face, and it pans to that being the birthday cake and her seeing her daughter, and that's the end of the movie. And the credits roll in both versions over the black and white picture of all these friends.
Right.
But with our main character living, I don't think that's as impactful. If she made it out, then okay, they were all together. But if they all died,
So it's implied in the UK ending
that they all died. Yeah. And I think that, and with the credits rolling over, the black and white picture of all of them, cheesing before they get down into the cave, I love the loss of life, the loss of, the idea that people have been down there and no one's made it out. This is just another sad tale to add to that. The pile of bodies, so to speak, so much more impactful.
But I want to throw this out there too. You had said that you felt Sarah had acted like emotional and impulsive all throughout, so that stayed pretty like constant.
Well,
right?
there's one notable scene, because I believe she's the one. I had a lot of trouble with these characters, and this narrative elements I gave a 14 to, which I guess was my second lowest. 13 or 14, somewhere around there. And I just could not tell some of these characters apart.
It's like Rush characterization.
Yeah, so I don't even know their names. There's Spiky, who is too adventurous. She's the one who runs off I don't know why she even runs off.
Yeah,
falls in a hole, breaks her leg.
Yeah.
So that's Spiky. You got the one who is the only character trait I think she had was that she was about to become a doctor, but not a medical doctor, some kind of PhD in whatever. Apparently in bats, a PhD in bats, because at one point she starts rambling about how the crawlers hunt by using echolocation,
bats.
like bats. Which
thank you for
I
that
don't
exposition.
think that even makes sense, but whatever. There's a character I just labeled as PJs because she was wearing ridiculous pajamas at one point, and I don't think we knew anything else about that character. And then there's a lady who makes a joke about lemons having orgasms or something.
Yes, yeah.
But I don't know. There's like nothing to these characters. They're just there to die essentially. But anyway, there's one point where a character gets stuck and another character has to come. I think the character who comes is named Beth and is helping. I think, is that Sarah who gets stuck?
Yes. She's our main character.
Okay, so there she's very helpless, and she obviously needs help. She needs the assistance from a friend, the support from a friend. And then by the end, she's all on her own. So I can kind of see that as a change. But if she's just there to die at the end, I don't know if I like that ending.
The UK one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I think that would support even less of a change. That she's just, I mean, we're kind of skipping ahead to the monster, but the monster in this movie is really trauma.
Yeah.
And so if she just succumbs to trauma, it doesn't even matter if she changes. So I don't know if I even like that alternate ending.
I hear you.
I do because remember, this is a horror movie. This is not we're not as interested about character arcs as we are about originality, as we are about suspense, as we are about creating mood, tone, thrills. And even if I mean, you have to admit, we didn't empathize with our main character. We weren't sitting there, trying to connect. And
I think we were supposed to.
Well, then I think that would be a huge problem. If the director wanted us to, I don't think it paid off. I was watching it with the sense of, okay, let's see if this pays off later.
Now, you liked Sarah.
Yeah, I did.
Because I didn't really.
I know. I wrote down, when she's stuck, literally, do we feel bad for her right now? Or are we thinking, for Christ's sake, Sarah?
Well,
is she just holding up the show and we're all just like, come on? Or are we supposed to be investing in her in that moment?
I think if you take all of these characters and you see how they impacted the story and how the story progressed, you can't look at any other character and say that they changed and developed like Sarah did. And that's to my original point. To argue against you saying she consistently acted impulsively and things like that, her decision to essentially leave Juno dead and stranded, that was deliberate. That was calculated. That was
that was planned? Or
absolutely.
Is that just because she's looking her in the eye?
Well, earlier she tested Juno. She had asked her something. She had said like, oh, did whatever, one of these random characters, Beth, Becca, whatever, like she was dead. And remember Becca or Beth, whoever was dying, said that Juno killed her. She was the reason Juno died. So she tested Juno and Juno lied. And so she's now realizing, and it was also revealed to Sarah at that moment that Juno had slept with her husband. So now she has all these things built up against her that I think Sarah going into the cave would not have used against her. But now that she's overcome all these terrible obstacles and changed in that way, she's saying and making these decisions and testing her to say, all right, like if that's how it's going to be, that's how it's going to be, and I'm gonna get you on the way out.
Because she wounds her for practical reasons too.
Right.
Because that's her means of escape.
Yeah.
Is getting Juno screams, and the J.D. Vance's relatives are just piling on her, and then that gives her kind of a way to quietly escape.
But I think that was not impulsive. That was exactly what she decided to do. That was
to me. I read that as more of an in the moment. I am looking you in the eye. I know you're a liar. I know you are my husband's mistress, and I'm just going to stab you in the leg.
Oh, no. But let me ask you this: then one of you said this. Does it advance the story? What was the story? Was the story Sarah, or was the story about these girls who are adventure seekers who go into a situation over their heads, and they may have different baggage that they bring into the situation, but was the story about Sarah, or was the story about them as a collective and this cave that takes no prisoners?
I mean,
The story's about trauma.
Yeah,
It's Sarah's trauma.
Yeah.
So to me, the story's about Sarah and her 5 friends. Her 5 friends trying to help Sarah navigate through this trauma.
You don't think it would be better if the story was about the cave?
The cave, it could be, I mean, if we want to go full nerd English teacher mode on this, like the cave could be a metaphor, right? For what Shane's talking about here, like her trauma that she has to overcome and endure to get past it, right?
Sure, but the cave could be a character.
Why don't we just transition to theme? I know we're jumping
we are.
ahead, but,
We are.
but we're in theme territory here,
Yeah.
and I wrote down some quotes. So one, before they go in, one of the characters says, "Rule number 1: you have to have a flight plan and stick to it, and then don't go wandering off." It's 2 rules for spelunking, I guess, in case you guys are ever interested in going on our own spelunking adventure. Another character says, and this is when they're in the opening chamber, says, "There's only one way out of this chamber, and that's down the pipe." And then later, another character says, "It's not how I imagine it from reading the book." And then the other character answers, "That's why I don't trust books." And then later, the character Beth, who is the one June/Juno kills, but then she turns out she's alive, says, "Don't trust her. Find your own way out." Which to me is all kind of going into this idea of the cave representing trauma and them trying to maneuver, because there is no rule book. People react to trauma in different ways, and there's no one set of instructions for how to navigate that. And what I don't understand, and why I don't think that works as a theme very well, is because you've got all these girls who are females, strong women who are supporting her. Can you edit that out?
You were one word away.
You got all these broads. Well, there goes our female audience. So you got all these female friends of Sarah who are in there navigating this trauma with her, and then they are there just to die? Like, what is it? To extend the metaphors, if this is an extended metaphor, does that mean they're just kind of dropping off and no longer supporting Sarah in her?
Could you say it's no longer needed?
Maybe it's no longer needed.
Yeah, she has to be the one to overcome it. So as these people are dropping off, she's actually
just to die in the UK ending of the.
But that's why I will just tell you right now, if we want to take the ending that the theater would have given me here in America, I would have given it a D, because
really,
absolutely, she makes it out by coincidence. There's no.
No, I think when she stabs her in the leg,
she falls.
I think at that point they're like, because don't they go to?
They kill Juno and she's by herself, and she falls and into a little bone yard, and she sees light, and she's like, "Oh my God!" And
that's after Juno. So
after Juno, yeah, she makes it out by coincidence. That's shameful. Like, come on now, this is cheap. The theme is unclear. I mean, if we're having this big of a conversation about it, I don't understand how the director could have gotten his point across clearly. And to be honest with you, it's a happy ending? ? Like, she's in
visual technicians.
Yeah. All right, we're back. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Josh got a little carried away, angry, stormed off set. We had to convince him to come back. So
you're not paying me enough.
So that being the case, just quick again recap of what we gave for resolution and thematic value. I settled on a 14 out of 20, which is a C minus. Shane?
I was a 12 out of 20.
12 out of 20. Josh?
12 out of 20, the theatrical ending, but the alternate ending, I gave it a 19 out of 20.
So we're a little bit all over the place with that one. So we're interested in your guys' views and perspectives on that when we get to grading this as well.
Well, especially our little argument we had about whether this is a movie about a cave or about trauma, which we're gonna find a way to put up a poll.
Yeah, I want to know who you think. When this guy sat down to write the movie, is he writing it about this cave that's the character, or is he writing it about trauma that happens to be in a cave?
Or is he writing it about these small white humanoid monsters that are very durable that lurk down in this cave. Let's go to the monster category. So in the A category, the monster has clear rules, limitations, and internal logic. The design is distinctive and memorable. Monster directly reinforces the film's themes, which I think is kind of interesting. Presence creates sustained tension or fear, and the threat evolves or escalates meaningfully. Now that is if they are rocking an A according to our rubric. I'm curious what you guys had to say on that. Where did you guys place this, and just say why you placed it there, Shane?
I gave the monster a 15, but would also argue that the monster is really trauma instead of these J.D. Vance's relatives.
Yeah.
I gave it an 18. I'll be honest with you. I thought the moment that they are hunting them, you can see that they have a purpose. They have a life down there. There's consistency amongst these creatures. And I thought it was interesting when one of the girls was hurt. It wanted to take that girl, and it did not hurt the ones that were still healthy. And I thought there's not infighting amongst the group. I think there was some interesting elements that showed an intelligence, and it showed a real purpose to these creatures that were there before the girls got there. They're going to be there after the girls got there. And you could even argue that they are a part of the cave's character.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you, I gave it a 17. I really like this monster. If you're looking at it in terms of just these humanoid creatures of like, you know, what they are and their function of it, I think that there was that like little moment we had talked about a little bit earlier where Sarah's like fighting the baby and like does this really gruesome death of this baby, and then the weird long-haired one comes out and is like, that's my baby, right? I thought that was like your connection to.
Well, it doesn't literally say that. It
That's
just
my
say, "Don't
baby."
talk."
But that might be the connection to like the overall theme of it. But overall, I mean, they were consistent. The monster, these little humanoid creatures were consistent. I don't think there was a moment where I was like, they shouldn't be doing that, or that's a power that hasn't been told to us yet. And I thought they were, I mean, you know, something that's instinctive to humans. We do not like things that look human that are not human. And I like when people play on that type of that monster or that fear that we have from that. So I thought those were kind of fun. I'm not too big on this, like the design of them. I thought was kind of cool in a way, but I do feel like I think they revealed it well. Like it was like you saw it from a distance, and then like the next scene you kind of see. I thought I liked the gradual release of that rather than just being like, well, here's the monster.
Well,
right,
you kind of hear them first,
yeah,
and then you see them. You don't see them until, I wrote this down, 52 minutes and 20 seconds into the movie.
Wow.
So it definitely takes that Jaws approach where not a lot is revealed.
They try to set the stage too early, but before they get into the cave, they're like, you're gonna see things that you wouldn't normally see.
You're gonna hallucinate.
You're gonna hallucinate. Those types of things, and I like when they play with that a little bit too. That's a cool idea.
So I was lowest on the monster with my 15. I did like the wet grackling sound. Is grackling a word? I don't think grackling's a word, but and if I had two complaints, one, it did seem like they were pretty easy to kill. And then two, no penises. I thought
that bothered you.
Lack of penises.
We really needed a penis.
That's been an ongoing theme in your interpretation.
I mean, I expect it in pretty much every movie.
Yeah,
I'm always going to knock down a movie if I don't get to see.
Really, really wanting those women to be men.
28 years later,
great,
a lot of penis.
Let me tell you something. That monster, 10 out of 10, or 20 out of 20. All right, let's switch gears here into originality. I feel like there's going to be a little bit of divisiveness here, but what did you guys score it? And then let's kind of just say what we think about it. Josh, what did you score originality?
14. The risk taking, I think, is what really pulled it down. It was a movie with darkness and jump scares and a creature. You know, I mean, I think the creature in and of itself ranks really high. But it, at the end of the day, is just a character versus character thing where one's trying to kill the other. I think what kept it from being an A or B is just the conceptualness of, this setting, and that there's scary things in there. I mean, that's a tale as old as time with the horror genre. There was no motivation from these creatures to do anything other than just survive, which doesn't speak to any higher thematic value, or there's no supernatural elements, which could have maybe informed a little bit more. I thought the cave dwelling, the cave markings, that there were people that had dwelled there before, I thought maybe that was going to tie into who these people were, and there's going to be some historical context to give these creatures a little bit more life. But at the end of the day, it was just unknown cave, unknown creatures, fight, and then the credits rolled.
Yes. Shane,
Kind of turned into more like an action survival movie than a horror movie.
Right.
And just kind of hitting those beats. And I also gave it a 14 for the originality category. And I really think that it's 14, but C minus.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's only that high because I think the filmmaking technique saves it.
I agree.
Because I like a lot of the editing, which the guy who edited this has a pretty good record of. Speaking of 28 years later, his name is John Harris, and he did the editing for this, and I thought the editing throughout is solid. And so the way the monsters are revealed, it is gradual. And I like that. What really knocked it down for me are those jump scares, which they became so predictable. Mm-hmm. This was a movie that kind of had one trick that it kept playing over and over again. It was playing it really well. It was a really good trick, but it was just, and those jump scares became predictable too. Back to the sound, which I really hated. You had this music, you had the score, and then the score would completely go out, be complete stillness. And after about 45 minutes of the movie, I realized, okay, we're going to have a jump scare now.
That's right.
Because the score's gone. And that's every single time. When you guys watch this at home on your own again, you'll notice that because I've mentioned it.
The one this is where I let something carry this category probably too heavily for me. Is I do see these, like the what did you say at one point, the survivor girl trope, in that what you had said?
Last girl.
Final girl trope. Yeah, that's going to hold true in this movie too, I would say, right? So there's definitely tropes that are being, like, it's almost formulaic in the sense that, oh, there's 6 people going down in this, I wonder if anyone's going to die, right? Obviously, you're going to get that. That's very predictable, and like you said, the jump scares can feel kind of cheap. I think there are moments, there are intentional jump scares that I did like. I think one off the top of my head was like the turning of the monster from the daughter, like, from the cake, whatever. And I thought that was kind of cool and fun to kind of, ramp up the audience a little bit, because those jump scares are intentional at times. What I think carried this for me was the setting. Again, in modern horror, like in horror in general, I looked into this and it said that there was a silent film in like 1898 or something like that dealt with a cave as their setting, and I think that hadn't really been explored again until The Descent had really brought that to life. Now you think about modern movies, like I think As Above, So Below deals with the catacombs, right? And like there's been a lot of other movies since this movie came out that had to kind of play off that setting, but they were the first ones to kind of play with this and toy with these ideas that we kind of got these cool elements. So I gave it a B. I gave it a 17 for originality. I knocked it down because, again, those tropes are pretty obvious, but again, I mean, I thought that the setting carried its originality. So,
well, I think the title was well done. With the first 10 minutes of the movie, the daughter's killed, and you see her melting down in the hospital floor, and then the title scrolls, The Descent. And so there's that double entendre. There's that play of her descent into madness or descent into trauma or depression. And then the descent into the cave. So I do think that the director or the screenwriter, I mean, they had clear purpose and intentionality. It was just, did he pull it off with the originality?
Yeah.
Speaking of the title sequence, I did like the kind of the flashlight going over the darkness and revealing the director's name and all that. I like that as an idea.
Yeah.
So,
which was repeated in The Descent 2.
Which we're not going to mention.
So just thinking of the Descent 1, what was your guys' overall grade? This is going in your grade book right now. What scores can you get out of 100, and what grade does that equate to? Josh, what do you got?
If it's the theatrical ending for American audiences, I'm going to give it a 77. It accomplished the task, right? Which we look at when we grade essays and we grade, persuasive things and narrative things. We're looking at, was there intentionality and did you accomplish the task? And I think this director totally did what he came to do. Could he have done it in different ways to make it more appealing to maybe me as an audience or other members? I think he totally could have. One way he could have done that was to keep the UK alternate ending you showed me with the birthday cake at the end and all the characters dying. I now have it at an 84, solid B.
Oh, Shane, what do you think?
I have it at a 72 because what annoyed me about it was enough to. This is probably why my students don't like me. Because the little things that annoyed me, just not nailing the theme as well as it could have been nailed down. A lot of the jump scares, a lot of things that the sound, those things that annoyed me. Just I wanted to find ways to kind of subtract some points. So
Yeah.
72.
You're so contained.
I could almost go up to a 74.
That would be so
Could be
forgiving.
persuaded.
It feels like a solid C to me. I do like the movie. I think this movie. I think this movie is decent.
Oh.
I watched the wrong movie. I watched the Descent.
I'm going to conclude this with an 83, a solid B, not kind of closer to that B minus range, but just enough to kind of get to that solid B range. I felt that it was a little bit above, just like you had said. You had mentioned it accomplished the task. I think it did that, and it had some creative elements that kind of propelled it just past that point, and that's why I think it's at that proficient mark of a B. And overall, I thought it was a really fun movie. I think it was exciting. I do think there are some points that we kind of can critique and overanalyze and kind of go into. But at the end of it, I wasn't looking at it going, I would feel like I wasted my time. You know what I mean? And I think there's a lot of horror movies out there that you're like, why did I just spend all this time watching that, right? So with that being the case, we want to kind of talk about what we're going to be, or what we've been watching or reading or anything like that. And then we're going to conclude kind of with what we're going to be watching next and, give you guys time to be able to watch it with us. And I'm going to make this selection so that they don't know what I'm going to choose. So what have you been watching or reading lately?
It's going to be a surprise to us as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a surprise to you guys.
I watched a 9-minute short called Playing God. The director is named Matteo Barani. This is from 2024, but I think I saw that it was on a short list for animated shorts for this upcoming Academy Awards. It is stop animation, claymation thing.
You have a soft spot for that.
I do have a soft spot for that. This one is pretty much just one single location, which is like a work table. You see what looks like human hands, but it could be animated as well. I wasn't really sure. And it's this creation of this like clay humanoid figure, and you see some other humanoid figures too. It's really pretty grotesque, but very well done, and you really end up feeling for this. I guess the main character, this humanoid clay creation that this person has made. I don't know what the movie's about. I took it either as a metaphor for the artistic process, or maybe something that is more sinisterly existential. But I really got a lot of enjoyment out of it. I thought it was really, really well done. The animation is really cool. Some of those things I like to see in stop animation that I've never seen before. So I would recommend that. Playing God. It's only going to be 9 minutes of your time, and it is on YouTube.
Amazing. All right. I'm trying to read Stephen King's The Stand right now, and I say trying because it's so dense. King has a tendency to put the kitchen sink into his characters, especially when he has a lot of them. In my opinion, he does best when he's focused on a limited amount of characters in one setting. I think he works his magic there. When things get a little too big, things get a little heavy-handed, and there's a lot of watering down. But it's a big undertaking that I want to do. And then obviously Stranger Things, where I'm really wanting to get into the end of that. That's been a fun ride.
Yeah. I just actually last week just finished reading 1984 by George Orwell. And just coming off of teaching Animal Farm with my students. I was like, I kind of am in this Orwellian type vibe, so I kind of just finished that up. But beyond that, there is a Netflix show that has been very interesting to me. I keep seeing a lot of things about it. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's a French production. It's like Marjorie, I don't know, Mallory, like something like that. I don't know what it is, but I've been really interested. It's got a lot of cool things working for it. But I just changed my mind on what we're going to watch next. While we were talking, I stopped and I laughed.
He doesn't listen to us.
I'm going to be honest with you. I listened to you for a second, and then I tuned you out as I do. But what we're going to be watching next is going to be something that my goal right now is to make Shane really enjoy a newer horror movie, because I have this thing with Shane where I think that he hates modern horror. And I really want him to enjoy one. And since this guy really likes, claymation, those types of things, we're going to watch Stop Motion. It's a movie that's utilizes this stop motion quite a bit. So that's going to be our next one. You guys tune in and watch it as well.
It's on Hulu.
It is on Hulu?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what we're going to watch. We're going to grade.
Yes, because it's in my queue.
Yeah. So, again, linked below is our rubric that we use to grade. If you want to be a nerd like us and check out how we do these things and grade it alongside of us, if you feel like one of us got it wrong and one of us got it right, leave a comment. Let us know what it is you're thinking or doing.
I think I might be attacked for this one.
For this one?
This movie seems to have a following, so
The Descent? Yeah.
I might be the villain here.
You might be, dude. I mean,
You play such a good villain.
yeah.
Yeah.
This
I
guy-
don't think of myself as a villain.
The villain never does.
Pretty nice guy.
I can't stand this guy. We're gonna kind of tune in and get that ready to go. And like I said, we're gonna kind of branch out. This is new for us, so this is gonna be obviously our pilot episode here. There's gonna be some weird cuts and different audio that you're gonna hear. But if you've made it to this point, good attention span. And let us know what you'd like to see, or if there's anything you'd like us to talk about or change, or ways that we can kind of get you involved and interacted with this process as well. Let us know. We appreciate you watching. Anything you boys want to say?
No.
All right. Thanks, guys. Tune in to the next one. Boom.